we should be live. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Neuro-Heretical Wargaming, where the stupidity is not a bug, it is in fact a feature. This is our second live stream, and by our, I mean mine, because it is just me tonight, but hey, there is nothing wrong with that. Expect a nice, quiet hobby session tonight. Unsure if we are going to get any viewers. That's okay. Like I said, that's how it goes sometimes. You should probably start posting these things though when we go live. Hey, look at that, we do have a viewer. Hey, Matt. You're pretty much looking at it. Tonight, I am mostly just kind of painting through my Navy breachers, because in theory, the scheme I designed should be a simple one. And yet, I've been putting it off because it's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. What about you? What's going on with you tonight? You know what? I can respect it. I was actually playing the Millennium Dawn mod earlier today after I got home from work. It's got issues, but it's good. I mean, isn't destroying Eldar players half the fun of playing Eldar players, for being 100% honest? Not that I played many Eldar players, but I have defeated the one I played this one time. In fact, you can watch that live. You can actually see that happen. Well, not live. We haven't done that in a minute. But one of our previous streams, Eldar versus Night Lords, that was the first time I've ever actually played an Eldar player, I think. Or no, take that back. I have played one at a Legends 3K tournament. What were you playing, Matt? I will say, the last couple streams, I have now officially been on both sides of too much and not enough anti-armor. I think it's fair to say for the 30K stream, I brought too much, and for the 40K stream, I brought too little. was, I think it was at the end of Void Stalker. This isn't really a spoiler, but at the end of Void Stalker, was it Void Stalker? The third of the Night Lords trilogy? If you think about it, what I'm trying to say is, it's actually kind of lore friendly to do Eldar versus Night Lords, because that was supposed to be what they were supposed to do at the end of that trilogy. If, you know, Aaron Dembski-Bowden ever got around to writing it. I feel like CSM versus Eldar isn't a bad matchup, just like mechanics wise. Because like they're really squirrely, right? From what I understand. Like I said, I've only played them I think twice actually. They're really squirrely. But Dark Pacts allows you to kind of get around that a little bit, but not so much so that I think it's like an oppressive hard counter. Kind of like you would see with some others. Because not like I just turn off. You know, it's not like Miracle Dice where it's like, ah, yes, well, you're hard to hit, so I just switch to this and now I just hit you. So I do apologize. Is that a little out of focus? I'll try and see if I can get that in focus a little bit. Much like our actual normal streams, hobby streams are very much a work in progress. So there will be a lot of adjustments. If you guys have anything in particular that you think could be done better, absolutely feel free to let me know. These are largely my particular baby on the channel, so I would be very happy to get any direct input from anyone who watches. Hey, Tristan! I don't think we've technically announced it, but yeah, these are the Breachers, Tristan. I'll give you an idea of what my final scheme kind of is. So obviously the one on the left is mostly complete. I just need to figure out what I'm going to do for the actual weapons. But I really wanted to play with the contrast of like super light and super dark. And at some point, I want to try and do like something of a, what is it, a sprinkler, not sprinkler method, but like the flicker one, you know, to try and put like a star pattern on the black parts. But we will see. I'll have to find a good paint to do that one. Oh shoot, which one's mine? Do I have an Eversword? That's the Psycho one, right? I actually have him over here on the side. I just haven't gotten around to actually painting him. So I will freely admit, of the Agents of the Imperium, the Assassins tend to be kind of my, not least favorite, because that's not fair, but like, I don't like them quite as much. Real quick, I would like to do a little shout out to Matthew for helping us a little bit on the Discord to remind us to at everyone when we announce streams and videos and whatnot. That is something I don't think most of us are very used to, so thank you for the reminder. I would say, I think for this, I should probably find a way to do some nice, like, background music or something. Because I become very aware, especially since it's the first time doing it by myself, I become very aware of, I become very aware of the fact that when I'm, like, not talking. Because, like, obviously during the big streams, that's not really an issue, right? Because that's just, like, a thing. Just because like you have so much going on anyway. But when you're doing these sort of hobby streams, it's like, I'm quiet. It is now quiet in my room, and I am unsure how I feel about that. So I'm usually the kind of person to have a little later, some kind of background noise going on. Like I'll put on video, podcast, audiobook. Ooh, which side note reminds me for Tristan, I recently finished the Morgan Vol book. It was pretty good. Weirdly enough, also featured Night Lords and Black Templars, which I knew about the Night Lords, but I was surprised about the Black Templars. But it's a fun little book. I would recommend it, by and large. For anyone wondering, this is Praxetti white? Prazetti? I don't know how to pronounce that. But that is the white. I'm just dry brushing it over the parts of the armor that I want to be actually white, which will really help them contrast with the black of the cloth bits that I will do later. But yeah, how's everyone? Let's see. Okay, well, first of all, I've seen your Black Templar schemes, and they are significantly better than mine. Because I 100% just basically do a Chaos Black rattle can, and that's usually just like the armor, and I go in on the other bits from there. Which I think does okay results, but they're not good. It's good enough for me, because I'm a pretty basic painter, right? I need to do, actually. Come to think of it. Sir, do I have... Shoot. I was just thinking I should probably find a way. I need to find a way to mark what's the center for my phone, because everything's like slightly off kilter from my point of view. I know, Matthew. I know. Like I said, it's not very good, but it gets them on the table, and that makes me happy enough for the most part. You know, it can just be that thing. That can be the center that I need to aim for. They were just my first army, so I tend to be really basic with their scheme. That's because I am not an actual, like the painting isn't like a huge part of it for me. Like, I enjoy it, don't get me wrong. Like, it's definitely a part of the hobby I will absolutely like get into, but for me a lot it is the actual gameplay, and to a lesser extent the building of the models for me is usually pretty big. So I really like not doing very complicated kit bashing, but just kit bashing and doing up my dudes, putting in little like lore bits, that sort of thing. You know what, Tristan, I can't disagree. The Paragon suits, honestly, they're kind of for me, they've been really forgettable. Like, I forget they're part of the faction most of the time. And when I was actually listening to the book, I did the audiobook version. When I was listening to it, it took me a minute to even remember what they were called, because she has hers, so she talks hers all the time. But then like a couple of her like sacrosancts or whatever wear it too, and I was like, man, what is the name of this suit? Like every time I was listening to that book. I always forget that Warhammer had a whole like series of comics. Zephyriel Stern. She was like one of the old resin miniatures, wasn't she? Or is she the one that's in the flying thing? I can't remember. Like, I know just enough about sisters to like that I can talk about them, but I don't actually know that much of their specifics. or like their characters. I will say, if your local library is partnered with it, check out Libby, because I was able to find, like, the one out here has a whole bunch of the Warhammer books and even some of the comics. So it's just like a matter, if you're wanting to read them versus like collecting them, you might be able to find them on there. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I just saw your message for which one it is. I know the one you're talking about now. For some reason in my brain, I also get her mixed up with Inquisitor Drax. Or Draxus. For whatever reason, in my brain, they're just like the same character, and I don't know why. But yeah, I know which one you're talking about now, because I've definitely seen that mini. It's a really cool mini, actually. I haven't seen it recently, but from what I've seen of it, what I saw, it looks really cool. I think my admission of just using Chaos Black has done Matt 2 into silence. But that's okay. I will also say, in my defense for not dry brushing my Black Templars, that I do tend to be a bit impatient with my dry brushing and go a bit heavy sometimes, which if you watch this closely, you'll probably see. Just because, you know, that's just how it be sometimes. And like dry brushing is very much more art than science. But I will say, luckily for this scheme, that kind of works, just because it is supposed to be a very pure white. So if I go a little heavy on it at times, I think it just adds to the effect. As long as I don't accidentally cover any details. But since it's literally quite dry, you know, you're not wrong, Netu. You're really not. I have experimented with them a little bit. My Stern Guard, I started doing a Zenithal highlight. So I have, you know, the black layer, and then I'll do usually grace here above it, and then I'll do a contrast over it. And I did like how that turned out for my Stern Guard. So I might start doing more of that, at least for like my more elite units. Though I do also have a tendency with my Black Templars to do non-traditional colors for specialist units. So give me a second, I'll show you what I mean. Or I guess I can kind of explain a little bit. I'll do like, you know, like my Sword Brethren, because in lore I kind of have them up as Helbrecht's personal like retinue. So I have them in a bronze, so they're kind of matching his gold, but they're doing their own sort of thing at the same time. Then I have one of my kind of, hey, don't you judge me. I like that phrase. Okay, you listen here. Okay. Okay, Duolingo. I should probably dim this so I don't kill the battery again. What was I saying? Oh, one of my kind of sub-lore things is I have like the Cult of the Redemption has started to like dig into my crusade. So a lot of them are starting to wear like red armor and using usually when they're using flamers, I'll have them in a red armor versus the more traditional black. And that one I've done the same thing where I've done a little bit of a Zenithal, and then I can do two things at once, I swear. My wife says I can't, but I totally can. Yeah, that one. Then I'll do what is it? Flesh Tearers red over the top to get them kind of a darker red rather than a super bright one, like say Blood Angels or whatever. In fact, I have them right here. So I'll pull up and show them off because I feel like showing them off real quick. So like we got, so this is the squad leader. Like I said, red armor, Cult of the Redemption. Flamer, decided to do it in yellow so it would pop. And then he's got the fire on the back, a couple of Black Templar bits, and then I free-handed the fire on the side, which I'm very proud of, and was based on the Warhammer Plus guide they put out like a year ago. 20 minutes in, and my hand is getting tired. I know the yellow is flat. See, that's the problem with the yellow, is that it was an absolute pain in the ass to get. So like I used literally like 3 different ones. I think I put a contrast down on the base, but it was like really blotchy. So I did like 2 or 3 layers of the contrast, and I think I did a whole other yellow. I forget, I don't even remember which one exactly. And so I kind of gave up on them. So I definitely need to go back and redo the yellow. Not necessarily redo it because I don't want to redo it, but like you said, put a shade on it or something. I don't know what shade, because like I don't want to darken it too much because it was a pain in the ass to get it as bright as it was. So if you have any ideas for that, I will absolutely hear them out. Also, I now see what you mean by the free hand is fire. You must think you're terribly clever, don't you? But you are real proud of that one, aren't you? Aren't you, buddy boy? Hey, I'm glad some of y'all turned out for this. I do also want to say, I don't think we've officially announced it. So just between the, I think, 3 of us that are here, Tristan will actually soon be guest starring. Which I'm pretty sure you've actually already seen in the Discord, Matthew, but he will soon be on the channel, and we will be very excited to have him. It's not a bad idea. I was kind of thinking Agrex. I think a brown into the recesses would be good. I think that could work. I don't think I did over the metal either. I don't think I did a shade or anything. I know there's a couple little things I want to do with that. Well, Matthew, you keep being a friend of the channel, maybe we can arrange something eventually. I can promise nothing, though. Because Tristan was a known entity before. Yep, definitely need to find some like royalty-free music that we can have in the background without it being an issue. Actually, I guess YouTube has a whole bunch. I'll have to fiddle with it though. Because I feel like if I do that, the quality coming through. Because what it'll do is it'll just like pick it up and put it through my little crappy microphone on my webcam. So I have no idea how well it'll even work out. You know, Matthew, you can rewind live streams, I promise. And honestly, with the delay, I don't really remember exactly what I was mumbling about. I do like dry brushing. I like the effect it gives and the colors it gives, but it does make me nervous when I'm brushing over like really, really thin things. Just because I feel like I'm going to break them off. Because I also do a lot of dry brushing with my Night Lord scheme, and I have broken so many little fiddly bits. It's actually kind of crazy. Check my phone real quick, make sure we're good. Yep, it is in fact charging. So hopefully we won't have any, oh no, there's no screen on incidents again. That does sound hilarious, just and I won't lie. It's like, alright, here's a heavy metal artist, but now for royalty reasons, here's the smooth jazz. Like, oh yeah, here we go. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. But come to think of it, I think the store we usually play at they don't play anything. They have a TV set up in the back, so someone will usually put on like a YouTube video, just kind of as a vague background noise. But otherwise, we kind of it's just us. I guess actually there's also the constant just like murmur of Magic players in the background because our store has a very, very big Magic scene. But can't say I know too much about it because I am not a Magic player. In fact, during our latest team meeting for this channel, I was just listening in from work while they were doing the actual discussion, just kind of pitching in when I could. They started talking about Magic after we finished, and I just like tuned out completely, and was like, "All right, I'm just gonna go back to work, guys," because I cannot sit and just listen to people talk about Magic. There's nothing against Magic; it's just not my thing. As I sit here and ramble on for no real particular reason, but you know, hey. You know, Tristan, you're so right. And every time I think of Magic, my brain just immediately thinks of that guy that went to a Magic tournament and just spent the whole time just taking pictures next to people's butt cracks. And that has just kind of inevitably become how I view Magic. Okay, that's not fair. That sounds really mean to Magic players. Like I said, I don't have anything against Magic. Like, I was a complete... See, there is absolutely an alternate universe where I play Magic, where I got really into Magic. Because as a kid, I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh!, which I think for a lot of people was basically baby's first Magic. And I just kind of fell out of it. It's hard to keep track of. Like, people talk about Warhammer changing a lot, and like it does, but card games just inherently change so much faster than Warhammer will. And I was just like, okay, I can't get into this. And part of the selling people point that people used to tell to me about Magic was like, oh yeah, it's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's a lot more complicated. And I was like, man, I can't keep up with baby's first Magic half the time. I don't want to do an actual full-on Magic. Though I do have cards. Like, I have tried it. To give Magic people, to be fair to them, I have played the game system. Like I said, just not my style of game. Oh, big stretch. Oh yeah, I can see that. I would, you know what? Now that you've said that, I can kind of see how just like building random shit out of Lego helped me come to enjoy kind of the kit bashing aspect of 40K. And I do remember, so I remember as a kid, so speaking of like stuff that may have gotten us into 40K, as a kid, I got really into like model making, right? And that kind of started out as like model cars and planes and stuff. I'm never good at it, right? Never got particularly good at it. But I did play it for a long. I did not play it. I did make those for quite a while, and so I think so. Obviously, that aspect of it. I also got really into. Does anyone here remembers Zoids? Which was like a mecha anime, I think, that came out of Japan, and they had a whole bunch of toy kits, and you could kind of put them together, but then you could also kind of mix and match them away in like certain ways. Like you could switch weapons around and stuff. And I think that is also part of like what would eventually lead me to 40K and just the sort of gaming in general. So I can distinctly remember trying to find games with like actual rules built around those. So there were actually a lot of like home rules that people had made. I don't think I actually ever managed to talk my friends into actually doing that with them. But I tried really hard. And I also remember, if anyone remembers HeroClix, they did a okay, I will say this about Zoids. It had a very distinctive like visual style. Like I would bet if you saw them, you would like remember them. Like it was a very distinctive visual style. And there were a few different series I think that were connected to it. I just kind of remember the one, which I think was weird because it was like a tournament series. It's good from what I remember, but that was years ago now, and I think it was kind of it wasn't the norm. But yeah, I think trying to find ways to play like actual like games with rules out of Zoids and like Little Green Army Men is part of what set me on towards Warhammer. Another one would be like HeroClix, which I mentioned earlier. It was a little like so the version I got into first was like a little superhero game, right? So you had like a team of superheroes and they had like stats and it's built into the base. And like as they got like damage and stuff, you could like click the base and that would like change their stats slightly. Like I remember the Hulk just got straight up stronger the more wounds he lost, so the angrier he got, the stronger he got. But all that to say is that they had a version of that, or that same company put out a BattleTech war game using those bases. And I remember like so hard trying to get my friends into it. And I never quite could, and I was big sad because I never actually got to play the game. So I remember sitting at school reading the rulebook for that game, like desperately trying to understand it, even though I was in like second or third grade. Yeah, I think HeroClix has stayed around. Like, I think when I played it was probably something of a heyday from what I remember. I mean, this was like, this was 20 years ago now. I have seen them in stores recently. Like, I've seen them in stores out here because I'm not from here, so it means I saw them relatively recently. Oh, hey, I think I got all them dry brushed. Sweet. Shoot. Do I want to do... See, he's got that outer armor, but it's more like a cloth. So I don't know if I want to do... I'll dry brush it in white and make my decision. I do think HeroClix is still around. That could be fun to kind of get into. They're a little... Well, when I played, they were like pre-painted miniatures. So it was kind of nice because you could literally just kind of grab a box and go. And they had like themed boxes. It was a fun game from what I remember. I was pretty young when I was playing it. Because I only played it because, speaking again of Yu-Gi-Oh, local store of mine started kind of doing like a Yu-Gi-Oh league on the weekend, so I would go. And there were like kids my age, some people a little older. that sort of thing. I remember some of them were like playing HeroClix. I was like, I like superheroes, so then I kind of got into it a little bit. All right. Wash off my brush. Take a drink of my tea. Now I gotta find my paint. Okay, that's easy. Ironically enough, I use Black Templar for their bodies. Now, this may or may not be heretical, but I like to pull it directly from the pot. And I know some people will probably judge me for that. Yeah, honestly, I really like contrasts. I will say they're kind of a less is more sort of thing. Because I have had somewhat mixed results with them. Not mixed results, but like you do have to be careful with them, and they benefit more from a model that has a lot of crevices. Like if it's just a flat model, because like Space Marines, they're a little harder to use on, in my experience, just from doing my Redemptionists. But like these, especially with black, it can help a lot to really help it show through, and it just saves time on not having to do individual edge highlighting. Like it's even faster than, you can put it on super clean, so you don't have to worry about it as much, versus like doing a dry brush, where it's like, oh man, it might hit parts I don't want to hit, stuff like that. Or for like someone like me that puts on a very heavy dry brush, it helps just avoid some of the struggle in that regard. I will say they're also, with contrast, you can really only darken an area, right? Like you can't brighten an area up with contrast, from what I've seen, at least from my experience. So if you want to like, it feels like if you want to add a lot of brightness, you really have to do like a dry brush or traditional edge highlighting, if you have the patience for that. I will say I do love these models, but I will be happy to have them done, at least for now, because I would like to do a full boarding patrol of these. So I do think I love like, non-traditional isn't necessarily the term, but like non-traditional military forces. So like, obviously Navy is always a military force, but like you don't see them engaged in ground combat that much. Certainly not anymore. Used to more often. While the Marines did do a lot, you do have things like, I think the old term was like blue shirts or something like that, for Navy personnel that would take up arms and act as light infantry. Blue jackets, that's the term I'm thinking of. Like I know there were a few actions, like the occupation of Veracruz in 1914, that was led by Blue Jackets rather than Marine forces. I do apologize if you guys ask a question and it leads me on a totally unconnected rant. That's just how my brain works. If you ask your question again, or just be like, hey, we were talking about this, totally fine. I will come back around, I promise. I promise. At least eventually. with these, but I don't want to. Like I said, I really like the black on black. And just... Now, see, Tristan, now you're making me feel bad for going off random tangents because we can't be strengthening Zeech out here. We can only be strengthening the God Emperor and all 4 of his arms. Actually, that does bring up a question I kind of have about Sisters of Battle, weirdly enough, in regards to Zeech, after listening to the Morgan Ball book. But it really, like, okay, not actually that familiar with specific Sisters of Battle lore after in the new, like, in the current era of the game. So, like, I don't know if you know this. I could totally just look this up instead. But was Ophelia 7, like, because Ophelia 7, if I remember correctly, is the world that the sisters were basically founded on when they were brides of the Emperor. Was it attacked by Zeech, like, after the Cicatrix Maledictum opened? Because they talk a lot about it, like, coming to attack under an entity that sounds like a Zeech character, but I don't actually know. So if you happen to know that, Tristan, that would be very helpful. I know. You gonna sneeze? No? I'm good. You know, maybe I'm gonna do this more. I should just watch some, like, Bob Ross videos. Really, you know, learn from the master how to be a chill little painter. You know what I mean? Certainly if I'm going to do this more by myself. Oh, I do want to say, for anyone new watching, if you enjoy this content, please sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We would love to see you around more often. We do 40K live streams every Sunday. We have recently begun what we have called Side Quest Saturdays, which is once a month. We will be playing other game systems. Our first one was Horus Heresy. Our next one will be Wasteland Warfare, set in the Fallout universe. So be sure to catch us around in those. And if you keep your eye out, there may be something a little special on a coming Sunday that we will talk about more later. Tips versus going into nights. Are you playing? What are you? Well, first of all, what are you playing? So, are you playing Night Lords or are you playing your Black Templars? Or yeah, 'cause you have Black. Again, you have all the armies I have, but you paint them better. We did do Armada. That was actually technically before our side quest Saturday. We just want to do that because we realized we happened to be streaming on May the 4th. So it's like, you know what? We should probably do this. But yeah, Tips versus Knights. A lot of it's going to depend on what you're playing into them. Like CSM will go. Okay, yeah. So if you're playing your Night Lords, CSM goes into them really well because you have access to the dark packs, and lethals will be really good. I will admit I haven't played too many Night players, so I don't actually have that much experience against them specifically. I do know, because I played against them. I guess I did play against them on the channel with Chaos Knights. So going into that was kind of a bit different. Hold on here. I have played against them with my Black Templars, and I tend to play relatively elite Templar lists, which if you go back on the channel you can see. It's very hard to out-elite Knights, right? Because that's their shtick. They are going to be the single most elite army in the game, no matter what you do. So you really need to for Knights, you really got to focus on like board control, making good use of your dark packs. So you're going to want to do your lethals a lot to really chip away the wounds, because you kind of have to treat it as less of like, oh, I gotta kill this one model, and more of like, hey, chipping off 5 wounds of this is equivalent to killing 5 regular dudes. Like, eventually I will chip them down. And as long as you make good use of dark packs, you can absolutely do that. As long as you kind of focus on chipping them down, focusing kind of the long game when it comes to killing them, unless you have some really like powerful stuff. Like if you have a Vindicator, that will help a lot. They do also, I will say, if you have Possessed, or even just like a melee Legionnaire squad, get into melee with them. Their invuln only works at range. Their invuln does not work in melee. So if you can get stuck in with them, they will struggle. Now, they can, depending on which knight it is, some of them do hit back pretty hard, but a lot of them just have the feet, which off the top of my head, I don't know if those are damage 2 or damage 1, so they can potentially slap back kind of hard, so you have to be a little careful, but they're much easier to wound in melee versus shooting, as long as with non-anti-tank weapons. I have lost, in my experience playing my knights, I have lost many in melee because of that. Which I didn't mention earlier, but I do technically have knights, but I only have I guess I have 4 now technically, but one's unpainted. But because I have the big one with lots of guns, not the harpoon, because I got it before they split that up into, or they combined that into one kit. So the one with the actual volcano lance and the plasma. And then I have 2 little armigers, so I was able to run them in a doubles tournament we did, where it was still 2,000 points, but each had a 1,000 point list. And that was fun, but if we went to an opponent that had melee, as soon as they found out that the knight's invuln didn't work in melee, they moved really fast, and my knight subsequently died really quickly. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at night on nights. Really have been itching to play my Night Lords a bit more though. More so in 30k, because playing it, what was it, 2 weeks ago now? Last week? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Kind of has me itching for it a little bit. Just because it's fun. I like playing my Night Lords. They're just goofy little guys. Though I do need to update my collection a little bit, because as I learned playing Scott, I may have a slight preponderance of anti-tank weapons due to playing John so often, because he brings a lot of vehicles in basically all of his lists. Because he either plays, because basically the armies he has are Admech, Solar Auxilia, the Knight equivalent, or not Knight, Guard equivalent, or Word Bearers, which he does have at least a infantry list for, but he also has a fully armored list for. So I bring a lot of Melta to try and pop him early on. So going against Scott, who runs basically a singular vehicle, if any, is really hard for me. So I will say, Matt, if you haven't played 30k Night Lords, I think you enjoy it. You can really get a lot of the flavor out of the Night Lords in 30k and still be a bit better. So I know you run Dread Talon. I know you do. But I have tried to play Dread Talon, and I struggle to enjoy it. Which sucks, because it is absolutely the most flavorful detachment for Night Lords. Ugh. Anyone else's hands just hurt after... Oh, almost an hour on stream. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Since we are getting an hour in, I do want to kind of bring up how long this was going to be. So see, I started around 7:30. At minimum, I will probably want to go until about 9, get a nice little hour and a half in. I don't know if I will be on much longer after that. I might go to 2 hours, but I know my wife is wanting to get ice cream. And you know what? Ice cream sounds really good. So I will probably go to about 9 and then call it. But I do also want to see just how many of these guys I can get done. Because doing these streams genuinely helps me get some painting in. Because otherwise, I will plop myself down in front of Hearts of Iron 4. And once again prove why I have like 4,000 hours in that game. Which now that I've said out loud, I do want to justify slightly in saying I have a tendency to leave it on when I go to bed. Like I'll open the menu, save my game, and then leave and forget to turn it off. So a good chunk of those hours are me being straight up AFK. So I just want that to be very clear. But also, like, the game is over 10 years old. Or is 10 years old this year, I think. I have an excuse. Actually, shoot, did it come out in 2016 or 2015? I remember at Oklahoma D-Day. I feel like it might have been 2016. I mean, I know it was before I joined the Army, so it was before 2017 for sure. So I was at Oklahoma D-Day and doing all that paintball stuff at the time. So many models have these like skirts on them, like right through here, and like it looks good, don't be wrong, but man, do I hate trying to paint it once the model's together, or once it's on a base, I should say. If I was smart, I would paint these guys on like a painting handle, but as previously stated, I'm not a huge painter, so a lot of times I really just kind of want to get whatever I get into the game. So for me, it tends to be easier just to put them together so I can start running them before they are fully painted. Which I know some people won't like, but that's okay. We don't all have to do things the same way. And frankly, the more fun I have with them on the table, the more likely I am to ban them. So it kind of all evens out if you think about it. This has been another episode of Thoughts with Brendan while painting models. I'm glad you are all here to hear it, because otherwise I'll be talking to myself, and that's just weird. Because talking with people randomly online who I can't actually hear the voices of isn't weird at all. Big stretch. Did that? Okay, good. That's interesting. I was like, does it pull up my screen? Get my hand to rest for a second. Leave it to Scott to be posting memes in the Discord, but not be in the stream. Which is just rude. Does Discord have crying emojis? Surely they have crying emojis, right? Oh, so, look at that. Sob's the first one that came up. Boom. Alright, now that I've gotten my quota in for being mean to Scott, I will go back to painting. Oh, the sable brushes. You know what? I will remind him. Yeah, warlocks are not real casters. They are literally sugar babies. Yeah, that's it. They're just literally sugar babies that, got their magic powers through non-YouTube friendly ways. There, I said it. I won't take it back. They are only slightly better than the Nepo babies that are sorcerers. Now, wizards. Wizards worked for their magic. They put in some effort and grit to get there. And they are unfairly disparaged as being nerds. Which, I mean, if they're nerds, does that make sorcerers jocks? And what does that make warlocks? Sorry if I move this around to weird spots. I'm just trying to get a bit of a view on some of the where stuff is. Actually, I do have to say, Matchy, I'm kind of surprised you are watching this while playing Hearts of Iron 4. Because I will admit, these silences have to be a bit weird when you're in the middle of playing a game. It's not the most active stream we've had by any stretch of the imagination. Alright. I don't feel like reaching under your gun. I don't think that is a good use of my time. Let's do the leader. That'll be a nice little change up. I will say one thing that I have noticed is a bit of an issue with contrasts is you kind of have to like reshake them every once in a while to get the paint back up where you want it. You don't really want to dip in the same way as you would for a normal paint. So a lot of time you're going to do it right out of the bottle. So if you just dip in, you're going to get way more paint than you would need. And since you aren't wiping it off, it's just like, oh well, now I have all this paint. So I know for contrast, I tend to pull off the little lip on the top a lot more often. And the only issue there is that as it like falls off or dries, it gets a lot worse than normal paint does. And it does so a bit faster because you need that fluidity for it to really work properly. It does also, I think, have a bit of an issue with showing the brush on the dried model a bit more, because you're more guiding it than painting it. But that also kind of comes with just practice on how things get done. That's fair, Tristan. Honestly, it's something I probably will start doing too. A lot of the ones that, for the models I've been doing it on, it hasn't been too big an issue. Like, for my Black Templars doing the, whatchamacallit, Flesh Terror Red, it hasn't been an issue because there are a lot of large flat surfaces, so if it's kind of dark, it's like, okay, because it's not really going to show that much anyway. So it's going to go on more flat, just kind of regardless due to the nature of the model. And these guys, it hasn't been too big an issue just because I want that like very dark contrast between the two. But if I was using this on like my guard, I would probably want to do the same. I think I actually have some, is it Lamian medium that's designed to work with contrast? I don't quite remember. I think it is. I think I actually have some for a previous, or no, they just have straight up, it's a straight up called contrast medium, isn't it? I do have Lamian medium, but now I think about it, I think the video for the scheme I bought that for came out before contrast was a thing. Because contrast came into the hobby about the same time I did, come to think of it. I could probably look this up, but I don't want to because I'm painting. But if you wouldn't mind saying so, Tristan, what did you decide to play for when you're coming on the channel? So I know you asked about the list. I know I told you to just send it to Scott. I'm just kind of curious what. This like, did you sell on GSC or are you doing sisters? What attachment is kind of a rough idea. If you want to, obviously you don't have to. Alright, you're done. Oh, very dumb, you say. Well, you're gonna fit in on the channel. I can tell you that for a fact. Because we quite often do the dumb lists. Some more than others. Myself, perhaps even more than others. See all my penal legion. Ooh. That'd be kind of cool. Get a bit of a double debut. GSC versus, or double kind of GSC and guard all at once. Oh, that would actually be really cool to play against my guard, actually. To be fair to Scott's all crew, they're actually not half bad. Mostly because it kind of plays against the 10th edition, run a lot of big vehicles more or less. So that does tend to help it, but... Did I win? I think I won with that, actually. I think about it when I did my Night Lords versus his crew. I think that's the one I won by a single point. I'm excited to see that, actually, both like in person and on the channel, because I really haven't okay, I think John's the only person in our store that really runs or that even has GSC, and he doesn't play him super often, and I don't think he does Brew Brothers like at all. So I'm actually really excited to see Brew Brothers. Now you see, Tristan, now you got me wanting to try and get my guard done to do that, because that does sound like a fun, both thematic and just like silly matchup. Oh, man, it's like what, 2 weeks? No, I think you should actually do that. I would, like I said, I would absolutely love to see Brew Brothers, especially because I know like you do. From what I've seen in your paint jobs and pictures, it looks really good. So getting to see them in person would be exciting. And like I said, I haven't really seen Brew Brothers ever. I would love to see that, both for myself and absolutely on the channel. And you know what? That's more or less fair. Especially for guest stars, I'm not going to be like, you absolutely have to be painted to be on, because that's not fair. I'd rather have you on than like force you off because you're not painted, boo. Because that's just kind of weird to me. Oh, I should probably do the pants. I was like, I think I'm pretty done with this. Nope. Did I do the pants to the other guy? Yes. For everyone watching, I would like to say thank you for joining us. Us, by us, I mean me. This is just kind of something I do a lot. I know Tristan's here, so a lot of the time Tristan's involved as well. We just kind of hop on our own little Discord and paint away, so I figured, if I'm going to be doing this anyway, we can go ahead and open it up to everyone else involved. And naturally, we're more than happy to see you guys here and hang out. And if anyone has any questions or anything, feel free. Oh, ah! I did not spill my paint. I dropped the bottle. It's a very different thing. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, always feel free to ask. Otherwise, I will just be chatting away with anyone that's in chat. Oh. Side note, if you happen to see the screen flicker, I apologize. That is literally just me looking at something on my phone. For whatever reason, it flickers whenever I go back to the screen. Actually, I want to do a little experiment. Give me a second. Interesting. So it pauses when I open that. And then when I close it, it comes back. Fascinating. Alright. Try and push and see if I can at least get all the base colors done on these guys before we call it a night. And I'll say, I do like to switch between doing my contrast schemes and my non-contrast schemes, because like doing my Krieg, right? It's a lot of little details, and I don't use any contrast or speed paints on it. So being able to switch between the two is just so nice, because it's like, man, I like painting these guys, but they always take a lot of time, and they really need a varnish after I'm with them, because they tend to chip off a bit more than I would like. But like I said, they take a lot of time, they're a lot of effort. They come out looking good, and I'm happy with them, but it's still a whole lot of effort. So being able to like, all right, I'm just gonna switch over, do my speed paints for a while. You know, they go on pretty easy with basically one coat, and then I'm done, and my hand's cramping. It's just a real nice kind of change of pace. And it helps me go back to those when I'm ready to go back to those. Oh god, it's cramping. Oh, my hand is cramping really bad. It's okay, we're gonna make it to at least 9, I promise. We're going to get at least a couple hours in here. Or not a couple hours, but hour and a half. Which I have to say, it went by way faster than I realized it even was until I looked at it. So thank you all for helping me keep entertained while doing this. It means a fair bit. And, you know, I find that hanging out with people you like tends to help the painting go by so very much faster. As do contrast and speed paints. Hello, new viewers. If any of you are actually new, or if you subscribed to us for another stream and had no idea we did hobbies, we do in fact do hobby streams sometimes. By sometimes, by which I mean, this is the second time I've done it, and the last time was like a month ago. But we would like to make those, perhaps not weekly. If I can manage it, I will certainly try, but at least every couple of weeks or so. I would like to sit down and do these and hang out with you guys and get some stuff done, and so it can be on the channel and we can have a whole bunch of minis on the channel. And like I said earlier, if you are enjoying the sorry, I just read Matthew's thing. I'll respond to that in just a second. If you are enjoying this stream, or if you have enjoyed any of our other streams or any of our memes, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, so you can get more of us more often. The more you help the channel grow, the more we can do this. So we do truly enjoy being lovely little idiots for you guys on stream, and sitting down and painting minis and just chatting, talking, having a good time. Alright, Matthew, what are you going to... What'd you put on here that's definitely better than what I could ever possibly do? Let's see it. Also, side note for anyone that hasn't seen our stuff, I did also want to say we have a Discord. So by all means, if you're interested, check out the description to our videos. It should be in there, though 100%. Though I don't think it's actually in the description for this one. So I will probably be doing that later. Really should just add it to it so I can copy and paste it, but Discord can be a bit of a pain sometimes, as the children say. That's not what they say, I don't know. I don't keep up with Lingo anymore. The older I get, the more the thing from The Simpsons where it's like, I was with it once, when they changed what it was, and now what's new is scary. Yeah, the more I identify with that, the older I get. You know, I'm not seeing... Are you talking about something you posted previously, Matthew, or is my connection just sucks? I'm not seeing anything new in our Discord, but I could be mistaken, and I will freely admit that I likely am. I didn't hit send. See, now you made me look dumb on stream. Are you happy with yourself? Are you proud? You have made a dumb person look dumb on stream. It's not hard. You shouldn't feel proud of that. I'll be honest with you. There it goes. Ooh, the bikes. Okay, after our last stream, I really do want to get more of the bikes and an ATV, because if you run them in Righteous Crusaders with Tannhauser's Bones, they're tough, right? Like T5 is such a nice breakpoint for basically a medium infantry unit that they will last you so long if it with a 5-0 fill no pain. The problem is, I wish I had bought them before they got the glow up with that balanced data slate, because they are not cheap anymore. At least not as cheap as they used to be. Those look really good. Kind of did the same thing with our bikes a little bit from what it looks like. Mine are kind of a black base, but around this the big engine cowl, gun cowl, I started doing the I did that in white and did the rest of the bike in black. But I will admit, I got all mine with the Indominus box, which is also the box I started 40k with. So even by my basic Black Templar scheme standards, they are very, very basic. always the pants set. I forget. Yeah. I really like how those bikes are coming out. Are those? I assume those are third-party helmets. From what I can see on the first two. I do like how those look. I have been feeling the urge to do kind of more knightly vibes with my Templars, so I've been kind of looking for helmets a bit like that, but I haven't been in a huge rush for it because I haven't really added anything new to my Templars lately, and I'm not really the kind of person to modify a mini after I painted it. Like, I'm very much a, you know what, that's good enough kind of guy, and I'm happy with that. Yeah. Yeah. I'd be interested in where you got those, because I would like to add that to my potential kit bashing list. Oh, I do like, what is that? Looks like the lance for, I assume, one of the, I assume that's either Rough Rider, it could be one of the new Death Rider ones. That looks more Rough Rider to me, if it's not third party. But I do like the lance at the end there. I've really been wanting, if I get more of them, I will probably kit bash them up to have, like, chain lances. That way it's still kind of WYSIWYG, so it still obviously has a chain weapon. But so that it has more of that knightly lance vibe. Because I don't really like the swords on the bikes. And honestly, I was very disappointed when they released them back in 9th. And it was one of the few things in Indominus that didn't get like a multi-part kit. It was still the same models as was in Indominus. I was like, oh, like that was a letdown for me personally. Because I think they would greatly, rules-wise, would greatly benefit from having access to other weapons beyond chainswords. Though I do like the chainswords. I won't say I don't, but rules-wise, they would benefit from having options for other weapons, and just looks-wise, obviously lances are just like the goat. Alright, just because it is getting kind of late here, I think I do want to say, see, I bet, what, I'm on the last 6 of these dudes to get kind of their base part of their color schemes down. And after that, I just gotta do weapons and stuff. What I'll probably do is, I will probably finish getting these dudes contrasted over, because it is about 9 o'clock. So probably about the time I get that done, we will be getting towards probably 9:20, 9:30 anyway. So I will probably be ending it there. Just because, like I said, I told my wife we would go get ice cream after this. So I will need to do that. Because I believe Sonic will be open, but that is probably about it, if I had to guess. But we will at least get all these duders 80% done, so I can finish them up probably off screen, but knowing me, possibly on screen too. So probably the next time I get to these guys. Usually what happens is I do my painting, because I'm in a rush for something. Usually it was tournaments. These days it's because I need to get something ready for stream. Because last week it was the Tarox. A couple weeks before that I think it was a couple other things as well. I do need to do work on the Tarox. Maybe I'll save that for the next hobby stream. So I do want to apply some Arbites decals and whatnot. But that's not a huge priority. actually hurting. It does not usually hurt this much on when I paint. It's like I'm on stream, so I'm gripping it tighter or something. It's just causing more wear. Or maybe I'm just getting old. That is unfortunately a distinct possibility, and I don't like it. To be honest with you, chat. Not a fan of the getting old. By the way, how does my audio come on? Like how does it sound? Because just doing it from my end, I can never quite get it to. Never quite sure how it sounds. Oh, actually, since I have a fellow Black Templar player here, that does make me curious. What do you think we're going to get with our codex that's coming out? Because I am very curious to see what it would look like. Because, like, our detachment, I guess attachments now, but, like, our detachment for mostly edition Righteous Crusaders has been a very broad one. Like, super broad, super flexible compared to the vast majority of detachments. So I have a feeling it's probably going to get reworked in some way or another. Which, as long as the other attachments are good, I'm kind of okay with. I just kind of want the enhancements to stay similar. But I'm just really curious to see what we're going to get. I really want to see one. I know I really would like something similar to the World Eater's Gore Track detachment. Because I run, if anyone who has watched the videos where we have Black Templars on, I tend to run very mechanized lists. So for me, just having something where it's like, oh yeah, if you dismount, you get Lance, or like you get some benefit for running around transports, and you get some stratagems to basically count as having popped out of a Land Raider, even though you're popping out of a Rhino or Impulsor or whatever. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Because that would just fit my playstyle to an absolute T. That would probably become my primary detachment. Because really for a lot of this edition, I've been running, I believe it's Firestorm, like the Salamander's coded detachment, and Righteous Crusaders. I would like to run the White Scars detachment if it wasn't quite so bike focused, or if we just had like more access to bike characters beyond just the chaplain. So I do like their go fast mentality, and I have no problem with their go fast mounted mentality. The models just simply don't support it. Alright. I think he's more or less done. Sorry, just stretching my hands up. I hope you guys like my hands, because you're going to see them a lot. Alright. Next guy. contrast earlier. I will say one thing you have to kind of watch out for is the pooling that it can do. It's not bad, you have to be a little bit careful. And it's more evident over like flat surfaces, so like Space Marines, you see it a lot. I noticed it a lot on the Thalax cohort I ran in the 30k game. I noticed it pretty bad on, but that was also another one of those like, I gotta do this night before, so it didn't get fixed. Actually, do I have that tape? That's not really accessible. I need to put a little X and like, hey, have the model here, dum dum, so I actually remember where to keep it. Otherwise, I will not be paying attention, and I will accidentally move it off screen. Oh no, did I get on the thing? I totally did. Is that gonna make it better or worse? It's okay. Don't make mistakes. We make happy little accidents. And, you know, I joke here a lot about paint jobs not being the best, blah, 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 in very self-deprecating ways. But the way I see it is, as long as you're happy with the paint job, that's all that really matters. Anyone that's gatekeeping a hobby because like, oh, you're not painting good enough or whatever, it's just a terrible person. I don't care. Like, we are literally painting toy soldiers. You really don't need to be gatekeeping how well people do or don't paint them, because it genuinely does not matter. Like I said, these are plastic toy soldiers. I cannot think of literally anything in the world that matters less. It's as long as it brings you joy, who cares? I have actively unfollowed YouTubers that were an issue. Oh my god, right, Tristan? Like, I got the army painter one. I didn't make my own. I just bought one because I'm a filthy scrub. And that thing molds so bad after time. And like, obviously it makes sense. It's a wet environment. It's inherently going to do that. But it is so annoying sometimes. When I love playing the is that paint or is that mold game? That game is so very much fun. But at some point, it genuinely can be hard to tell, especially because me, because I paint a lot of dark colors. Like my Krieg are primarily a dark green. My you know, Black Templars are obviously primarily black. These guys are primarily black. My Night Lords are dark blue and stuff. As it turns out, all of those make very convincing mold colors. That's a fair point. I will say, usually for the Army Painter one, at the very least, it's pretty easy to switch it out because I just literally need to take it out and toss it. But that doesn't mean I have to spend money on getting another one, so pros and cons. And I haven't really had, like, mold does not really stick to the plastics. or doesn't stick to plastic. So I haven't had too big of an issue with it once I toss out the actual palette part. But it is annoying after a while to be like, well, now I gotta spend money on this again. I have seen people do a homemade one. Oh, for anyone wondering, I am using Black Templar. Make homemade ones out of sponges. I just haven't felt like putting in the work for that, to be 100% honest. But that's just me. Yeah. Like I said, I can 100% agree with that. I can 100% understand that. Like it genuinely gets frustrating after a while. Cause it's like, man, because it happens so fast, and knowing where you live, I imagine it. I'm paying too far north. Yeah, I can see that. So I would imagine it's much cheaper to buy a sponge at a store than having to buy a branded one, essentially. But yeah, as I was saying, I think knowing where you live, I would imagine it's much worse. Because like up here in Colorado, like up where we're at the very least, it's dry most of the time, so it isn't too big a deal. Got that arm. Get this arm part of his chest. Since the guy guy's here, I am curious what you guys think I should do for this bit. This kind of up armored bit going on here. So I don't really want to do it with the blacks. I want it to stand out at least a little bit because it's separate from his actual like metal armor. You can kind of see here. So I'm kind of thinking like a gray. So I don't want to do anything that's not. I don't want to do like a leather or anything because I think that would be too different. I think like a light gray. So I think I have a gray contrast somewhere maybe that I think would work there. So I do think it's supposed to be like kind of a Kevlar cloth looking thing. That's a good point, Tristan. I didn't think of the hair. I mean, at least for what it's worth, since you are in a less arid environment, at the very least, you don't have to worry as much about like things up here dry out fast. If I leave this out overnight, both the sponge part and the little wax paper they have you put on top to preserve it will both like curl up over the course of just like a couple, like 2 or 3 hours. Like it moves fast here. Like shade the white. I really wasn't planning on it. Because what I did do is it's a base of gray sear, I think it's apothecary white contrast. So you can kind of see the gray sear difference here. So that's what it was before. Then contrast was darkened up like these spots here, and then the white dry brush to bring it up to that more pure of a white. So I wasn't planning on doing anything else. So I just really wanted to contrast as much as it possibly can with the actual like cloth bits. But I am always open to ideas. I will at the very least hear you out if you have anything like in mind that you would think would work. And I will be posting these eventually in the. Okay. We will be posting these eventually in the Discord for anyone who wants to get a closer look at them. I try to be at least somewhat consistent with those sort of things. But I think this guy has all the contrast on it, so I will set him aside. Yeah, that's fair. It's just on my phone, so it's kind of hard to judge. I'll take some pictures, and the lighting's kind of weird because of how my setup is. So I'll take some pictures and post them in the Discord later to try and get you a better idea of it. Or I can just show them to you, literally show them to you when you get here. I do want to say, I don't know if you remember that Requiem Infernal book I kind of recommend to you probably a couple of weeks ago now. But this is actually partially inspired out of the breachers that are featured in that book. Or at least listening in that book, because there's an Imperial Guard regiment in that book that are trained like Navy breachers. So they were kind of the inspiration for this scheme. I don't actually remember what they're described as looking like in the novel. Yeah. If I want to mess with, I haven't messed with oils at all. I'd want to do them on some kind of crash test dummy models. I don't really want to do it with these. I don't want to get through all of these and be like, oh, no, I did that, but I don't like it. You know what I mean? I've been hearing good things about oils. I just don't have any experience with them whatsoever myself. Oh, that's totally fair, Tristan. No worries. I brought it up like that one time, so I doubted you would remember. But since I was painting these, it kind of reminded me of it. Still a good book. I would recommend. I might actually go back and listen to it again. Just because it's so mind screwy that. Because I primarily listen while I'm at work, so listening to a mind screwy thing is just like, did I miss something because I'm at work, or did I miss something because the book is being screwy right now? Plus, I do also find things that are intended to be mind screwy tend to be better on a second or third, like watch or listen through, read through, whatever. Those sort of things tend to get better with repeat viewings, in my experience. Push through and try and get these guys done before we call it a night here. Alright. Last breacher. Give these poor hands a rest. I think it's kind of interesting. You don't really. It's very easy to miss just how much time passes when you're painting minis. Like, which is I think mostly a good thing. Like, obviously, you're not as long as you're not in a time crunch for something else. because like it's just nice to be like, all right, so like it's just nice to lose yourself in a little bit, because it's not like mentally taxing most of the time. I'm sure there's paint jobs that are. Mine absolutely never are. We are very pro smooth brain in this particular, with these particular paint jobs, but it is nice to kind of lose yourself. Just kind of be in the moment with painting a mini. You don't got to worry about anything that's going on in the world or outside. You don't got to worry about work. You just kind of go all zen mode, if you will, and just let it be. Should I do his legs? I did. Okay. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm very forgetful just in my day to day. So sometimes I will just like be like, ah, crap, did I do X, Y, or Z? And like, oh yeah, I did. Okay, I'm fine. And I partially blame my stepmom for that, because I used to have to drive to school, and I would leave for school before she left for work, and every day I'd be like, ah, crap, did I close the garage door? Because if I didn't, I would be getting a text message about it. And it was always a thing. Not a bad thing necessarily, but always a bit of a thing. So now I'm moderately paranoid about things like that. Alright. We are getting there. Actually, I said I shouldn't blame her entirely. The military absolutely plays a role in that. Like, no two ways about it. I can absolutely blame the Army on that one. Right place, right time, right uniform. If you got those three things, you're probably doing okay. That's what they say before they get mad at you. Alright. Everyone has their kind of base paint and color scheme on there. Go ahead and show them off a little bit. Oh, look at that. Ooh. Zoom out, because you were zoomed in the entire time. Oh, there he goes. Look at that. Look at them. Don't they just look neat? Should I paint like that? Would that be better? I don't know. I can actually stretch my hand a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of the breachers. That's kind of most of what we're going to get done tonight on this stream. So I'm more or less done painting, but I will go ahead and hang out here till 9:30. If anyone has any questions about the channel, Warhammer, just wants to chat, anything, feel free to talk. I'll just be kind of chilling at this point for the last few minutes. Do need to decide what I'm going to do with their guns. Probably end up doing probably just a red, so it really contrasts with the black and white. Maybe a corn red, so like it's not, doesn't distract too much from the black and white contrast, but that's something I've been actively struggling with for since I decided on this scheme. Well, I guess actually I got a few minutes left. I could do his thing real quick. Ooh, that's fuzzy. Oh, can we? Just, is it my hand that's throwing it off? Like, if I pick him up with my hand, will he be in? Yeah, he will. Let's just do a gray. Do I have a gray contrast? I think I do. And let's throw that on real quick while I'm here. Do I not? I should have Is it Mechanicum Gray? No, Mechanicum Gray is excuse me, actual paint. White. Black Legion. That's a Bezalcanium Gray. Is that how it is? Basilicanum. That's right. Basil. If anyone has seen the great Mouse Detective, Basil, I think is the character's name, just stuck in my brain for probably damn near 30 years now. Alright, let me pull that out and see how that actually looks. I don't know if I want to put that on or not. I know I want it to be a little bit, I want it to be darker in the white, but not dark. But lighter in the red. I think that'll work. I'll try it. If the color on this isn't quite right, then that's not really the worst thing in the world, I think. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure what I even want to do with this. I apologize if it's going to be out of focus. I'm just going to do this real quick to kind of close out the stream a little bit. I think that mostly works. It's definitely going to come out a bit streakier than some of the other stuff, but like I said, that's okay. That's no big deal. Don't make mistakes, just happy little accidents. And, you know, stupidity isn't a bug, it's a feature here at Neuro-Heretical Wargaming. Wow. Come on, focus. I'll have to see how it looks after it dries. I'm not 100% sure I feel that, but I could highlight it to bring it back up a little bit. But it's definitely lighter than the black, so that might work. We'll set it aside for now. Worry about that later. So getting these last kind of few minutes here, I would like to thank everyone that's been watching. I know Tristan and Matthew, you're both our subscribers that we talk to regularly, and Tristan, I know you outside of this, but it's still nice to have both of you here, so it's not just me by myself. If it was just me sitting in silence without an active chat, I would probably cry, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. If anyone new wandered onto the channel, welcome. This is Neuro-Heretical Wargaming. We try to do, the plan is to do this every couple of weeks or so. Ideally I would like to get it every week, but the way my schedule is, that's not very easy to do. And this particular stream is kind of my baby. So it probably won't be an every week sort of deal, but that'll be okay. Yeah. Just real quick for anyone that does happen to be new, we do Warhammer 40k streams every Sunday at noon Mountain Standard Time. We are doing once a month. We are doing Side Quest Saturday, where we try out just different game systems that we're interested in, or we play on the side. First one was Horus Heresy. The second one is going to be Wasteland Warfare later this month, so keep an eye out for that. We do also try and post memes every day. I know I haven't necessarily been the best about that the last week or so. I do apologize on that. That's on me. But, oh. I hope nothing was wrong with the audio. That could have been me. You have a good night, Tristan. If you're hopping off, I'll be here for a few more minutes. Just on the off chance there is anything going on, or anyone hops in and has any last minute questions. But yeah, otherwise, thank you guys so much for being supportive, coming here and watching, hanging out. It's exactly what I want it to be. Got 2 good hours of painting out of it. Happy with my guys. Yeah. I do want to extend a special thank you to Matthew for being super supportive of this. You've helped us, like I said, you've helped us a lot with the Discord. Oh, that's fair. Nah, I get it now. Do you? Because you have to use like an active compressor with that, right? At least I'm pretty sure. I don't really mess with an airbrush too much. That's fair. I think I have it kind of down, and I know that this is all coming in off my kind of crappy webcam mic, so I'm sure that's not the best. I'll fiddle with it a different time because I don't want to mess with it too much at this point. But yeah, kind of getting to the last minute here. This is the Navy Breachers. Hopefully we will see them on the channel as I get more and more of them painted up. So look out for that. I don't think we will end up necessarily with a full 2,000 point Agents of the Imperial Army because that is a pain to make and actually very fun. So, but look for that on the channel. We will certainly be featuring more of these guys once they're done, and more of my Arbites as I slowly expand them out. If you watched last week's stream, you'll have actually seen some of them on the stream already. Look out to see more of them. And yeah, so usually we don't set a fixed time to end, so I will have to work on getting to those last few minutes without it being super awkward. But we did it. It's 9:30. So once again, for everyone that has watched, everyone that's hopped in, everyone that stayed throughout it, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll see you in at most 2 weeks, maybe even 1 week, depending on schedules.